Welcome to the April 5th City Council meeting. I'll call this meeting to order. If you'll please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Jackie, could you pull the roll, please?
Councilmember Hewlin. Here. Parker.
Present.
Kling.
Here.
Schroeder. Present. Southall. Here. Marchant.
Present.
Mayor Pepper.
Present. Nice to have everybody in the room. Thanks for being here. All right, we're moving into open forum. That's public comment time. If there's anybody here that would like to make a comment about anything not on tonight's agenda, please fill a form out, hand it to our deputy clerk. Seeing none, hearing none, we will move on to consent agenda.
Anything being pulled?
I don't think so.
Motion to approve the
Okay.
consent agenda?
Jackie, do you want to call the roll?
Councilmember Hewlin. Aye. Parker.
Aye.
Kling.
Aye.
Schroeder. Aye. Southall. Aye. Marchant.
Aye.
Motion carries. Brian, can you hit a couple highlights just to call out to make sure our folks know some of the exciting things that are happening under consent?
Sure, there's not much on consent today, but there's three councils set public hearings to hear complaints for tobacco sales. So we do check and make sure the businesses are complying with the laws on selling those products. Purchased 2 police vehicles. We've purchased one already. This finishes out our purchase of those vehicles. And those are done via the state bid. These are all budgeted items. And then one of the other ones that we wanted to highlight is this resolution approving the subordination of a lien. We have an I&I program, loan program for residents that needed to fix some I&I. So that's a lien against their property. The owner has been paying. They just refinance their home. So what this does is it just kind of keeps everything status quo as they go through that process. So that's it.
Good. Thank you so much. All right, moving on to council reports. Up next is our friends from IMU. They're going to give us a little annual report update. So I think that is Krista Splanks as the general manager and maybe Adam Voits as chair. Welcome. Thanks for being here.
Thank you. All right. Take this off just so I can speak a little easier. So a couple of IMU meetings ago, our auditors have presented our audit for fiscal year 2020 and just kind of giving you guys an update, some of those financial results. Just as a quick overview, this was the first year with our new auditors. They are Denman and Company, same auditors as the city has. And those operating results for the year, our total utility net position increased to almost $10,000, with the total utility net position of about $49.5 million. The auditor provided a unmodified opinion, And in working through there, all the noted deficiencies had corrective actions taken. In a lot of cases, they were taken even before the auditors had left. So just to drill into a little of the details, this is the statement of revenues, expenses, and changes in net positions. You'll see that $210,000 number for the utility total. Our utility is reporting on a four departments: electric, water, fiber, and joint utility. Electric and water, had positive results. Fiber had negative results. That was attributable to the debt taken out. We have operational debt, those debt funds taken out, and that left the fiber in a negative net position for the year, which was in all actuality did a lot better than because of those strong customer numbers and those strong results. That negative amount was not nearly as negative as the business plan had forecasted. So we are in a much better position than the business plan had hoped. Water, like I said, a small increase in net position. Electric's change in net position was probably a little higher than usual. 2020 just didn't have the year of investment in that infrastructure that we did. I mean, with shifts in timing, and not as much got done during that COVID close, those COVID lockdowns, and those, of course, those positive results allow us to fund much of the streetscape. We'll be funding out of our fund balance. We won't right now, not forecasting any debt necessary to complete all of that. So, and of course the joint utility, that is the administrative services and the pass-through stuff, a small, deficit there. But really that could otherwise be spread across the other utilities. It doesn't operate or doesn't have any funding sources independent of being tied to the other groups. And for our statement of net position, as you can see, the bulk of the assets that the utility has, the $37.5 million of unrestricted, net position in the electric, unrestricted being $13.5 million, $23 million being capital assets, and a little over 500,000 in restricted funds. Water, similar position. It has a pretty substantial capital assets at $13 million, unrestricted position of almost $2.4 million. Fiber, again, we talked about the net position it was in for the year. That is the third year of kind of the similar operations. The negative 3.7 million is the entity to date total, which was substantially less. It was in that 4.3, 4.4 range of the expected. Did about $500,000 better than the business plan had expected. Left us with $3.7 million, and of course, joint utility, that utility infrastructure, or the buildings and some of those other building assets, leave us with a total of $204,000 there, bringing that total again to the $49.5 million in total net position. And that is my presentation. If there are any questions.
We had a real good joint IMU city council meeting, and they were about billing for customers if they had questions. And I was curious afterwards whether you had any follow-up after the meeting with customers.
We had a lot of good follow-up, a lot of positive comments. A lot of people were, they loved the online billing and wanted to do that. So that was a great opportunity. And in talking with them and getting them signed up, they did like to hear, a lot of the positive. They kind of heard some of the rumors that the IMU was electric was so expensive, and they were surprised to see the actual results. And so, between the electric, the water, the fiber, I think it opened up a lot of eyes, and that was a positive development. And then, again, I think hopefully everyone can be a little more proud of IMU and have an IMU in Indianola. They appreciated those clarifications.
Do you want to review for everybody listening tonight how to sign up for online? Because I do think that's a wonderful option for everyone.
Yeah, on the IMU, if you go to indianola.com and pay your bill, that'll bring you to the our internal portal. You will need your bill, which will either have a billing amount and invoice number. That'll get you signed up and identified as who you are. From there, we just need an email address. You set your password, and then you'll have online access. That the specific steps to get to, I've gone through this enough. The specific steps to sign up online, you'll go down to the bottom in settings. You'll go to general, and then the first section of the tab has paper bill, web and paper bill, or web only. If you sign up web only, you will get that dollar statement credit for every month.
I think that's great. Thanks.
Other questions? Anything from your audit that you want to share? I know there was some issues, of course, because you had a major conversion, so that of course always causes issues for all of us. Anything that we need to be aware of, anything that you're worried about, any long-term effects from that?
Certainly no long-term effects. The bulk of the real significant items were conversion related. A couple of invoices that kind of got lost in the shuffle in the transition between the two. Cassell to, there were some invoices that got lost and misplaced. With that new system and we're running out of its entirety, that won't happen again. There was, of course, some of the all the conversion issues as far as getting that first set of numbers. We talked about those in the past. Getting those merged and accurate and reflecting the same both in Cassell and the new system. Certainly that was a one-time opportunity. And some smaller ones that are just training opportunities. We got through those, clarified those, and have the appropriate new levels of processes and reviews in there to catch everything. So, in general, I think these findings are attributable to it being a first year with the auditors. Their level of expectation is, different than their predecessors, as well as that conversion. It did take us a number of months to get good numbers, and that good base number to start with really kind of affected the first couple of months operations. But things are going well now, and we're optimistic about the future. I think the Elation conversion, it is kind of a once every 20 years type of operation, but I think that and the new fiber utility are setting IMU up for success now and many years in the future.
Yeah, good. Thank you. Just so everybody knows. Any other questions for Chris, team? Thank you for being here. Thanks for your presentation. We appreciate it. Moving on to Mayor's report, I was going to lead with, but Councilmember Kling got me first, but that's okay. March 31st was our utility joint meeting. So again, thank you to IMU. That was IMU and City explaining the 6 parts of that bill. It is on both of our websites. So again, if there's folks out there that have any questions, we highly encourage you to go through that presentation. And again, you can also call the number. I think I kept your number memorized, 961-9444. If you have questions about your bill, that team will answer them, walk you through the specifics of your bill. Happy to help you. So thanks again to them for that partnership and that joint meeting. Really appreciated it. And good information was shared. There's been this last week, couple weeks, numerous meetings on Streetscape. We're going to have an update about that later. The bid is out, so looking forward to getting those back. So thanks to everybody for their work on Streetscape. Just so you know, I've received several letters from area nonprofits thanking us for our support of Bravo. Again, that's part of our money that we hand out to organizations. That's part of our hotel motel tax, but there's been several that have just written some really nice letters saying in these tough times how much we have appreciated that continued support of Bravo. And then last week there was a joint meeting between us, balloons, fair, opera on their seasons, coordinating and finding ways to safely have their events. All three are saying they will have their season this year, but it will be modified. And they say, please be patient. We're trying to give you everything back to normal as much as possible, but we still have this thing called COVID hanging over our heads. But it's exciting to hear those moving forward. And thanks to the city staff for being a part of those conversations and that collaboration. That's all I have, unless any of you have something you want to add.
The only thing I'd like to say is
Sure.
just make a comment on all the economic development action that's going on in our community. I know the new Cabin Coffee has started construction over on the east side, so that's going. We're seeing other projects, housing starts and stuff. So I know March, I believe, when we get the reports on on permits and valuation from permits, we had a really good number for March. So things are happening. So it's a pretty exciting time. I just wanted to point that out. So.
Yes, thank you, John. I agree. Wonderful. Okay, moving on then to community update. We have a proclamation declaring April 18 through 24, 2021 Volunteer Week in Indianola. I will read this proclamation because I have said it several times how much I appreciate, and I know council does as well, all the folks that serve on our boards and commissions. So National Volunteer Week, whereas National Volunteer Week was established in 1974 to encourage volunteer projects and special events, and whereas this week is also an opportunity to thank volunteers for their time and commitment to provide services that would not otherwise exist, and whereas the city of Indianola has 9 boards, commissions, and committees comprised of over 70 volunteers. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Whereas these individuals have helped to create and enforce zoning and ordinances, complete the staffing of our public safety and library departments, raise awareness of environmental issues, beautify our community, and enhance learning, health, and entertainment for our citizens. And whereas many projects and initiatives could not have been completed without the hard work and dedication of these volunteers. Now, therefore, I, Pam Pepper, Mayor of the City of Indianola, do hereby proclaim April 18th through 24, 2021 as National Volunteer Week in the City of Indianola, and I urge all citizens to consider volunteering with an organization important to them. And I thank all volunteers contributing to the success of our community. Signed on this date, April 5th, 2021. Thank you to our volunteers. We'll move that proclamation forward. We don't need a motion for it, do we?
Nope.
Okay, I didn't think so. All right, thanks to our volunteers. All right, we'll move on to a resolution approving the Traffic Engineering Assistance Program. Oh, I'm jumping ahead. Sorry. Let's do Streetscape project first. Here comes Charlie. Update regarding our Streetscape project. Sorry, Charlie. Really? Oh, that sounds like a logo or something. That's a blast from our past.
It is.
I have heard that before.
I know, I'm really sorry.
No, you're fine.
Charlie's the thing on the remote.
It's not sliding through here real quick though, so hold on one sec.
No problem.
It's changing on the computer, but not on the screen.
Would it help if we all offered advice at the same time?
One by one.
I can do an
I'll
oil
jump in
sketch.
first. I don't know.
I can do an oil sketch if you want.
Bob and I covered our areas of expertise.
You're off the hook.
There we go.
There it is.
Yeah, I'll go one more. Thank you, Jack. All right. Mayor Pepper mentioned earlier, we've been having multiple meetings with the county on the Streetscape project, not just the county, but a lot of streetscape related meetings that have been going on. Tomorrow morning, the County Board of Supervisors are going to be voting or possibly taking action on the easement that we are looking for with them. I know we've updated council on that a few times with the need for the right of way. on the interior of the square and why that is. Have some images that we've got on the screen here. I just kind of wanted to point out to council to make sure everybody was on the same page. We presented these images today to all 3 board of supervisor members separately. So just wanted to make sure everybody was aware of what we're looking at here. So the current right-of-way lines are shown here kind of in this pinkish color. You can see it's a 312 by 312 square. What we had initially proposed to the county was to pull those right-of-way lines back just a little bit to where this blue line is right here. Actually, the most up-to-date one would show this actually squared off right here, rather than these kind of ovaled off, or the edges here at an angle, but it's actually a squared off area right now. Part of our improvements with the streetscape project, you can kind of see through here, rounding out the corners on the curbs, sidewalks, planters, things like that. That would be included on here, but I think the biggest thing to point out, with the squared off curb, we would have squared off sidewalks as well. Kind of see the sidewalks running here down through this area. If we were not to get the easement, and this doesn't really show up too well on the screen right here, so I'll try to kind of show you what's going on here. The existing curb line for the courthouse, as it is today, as it has been in the past, kind of makes a circle like this around here with the sidewalk right on the edge of it. So if we were not to get the easement and the county was to construct the sidewalks like that, that's what it would look like. Don't want to focus too much on this. I think these next 2 images are a little bit more impactful on what we're looking at here. Again, if we get the easement from the county, this is taken kind of a perspective from Howard Street in Salem. So at the southeast corner of the square looking northwest, kind of shows you the street trees that would be going in, the monumentation there, some of the landscaping features at the curb line. And if we were not to get the easement, that would be what it would look like. So wanted to make sure everybody had these pictures, just kind of get an understanding. Reason you don't have trees and everything in here is just because we simply don't have the right of way. Without getting that, we can't put any of those improvements in, anything like that. So, and then there's a few slides here just that kind of go through the timeline of the project. There's a lot of information in there. I don't want to go through all of those, but if there's any particular questions on those, I'd be happy to answer them, Ryan. I don't know if you want to add anything on it. But.
Yeah, I was just going to add, so this is what Charlie had presented to the council and to the county back in December of 2020. The nuance with this one is in December, it was actually the right of way, and the action that they're going to be considering tomorrow is a variation, which is granting an easement.
Yeah.
So still allows us to access and to get on. Charlie's been in a number of discussions with them, meetings since February, when we were notified that they were starting to have second thoughts on the right of way. So working together, going through and coordinating with our various teams of consultants and partners at the county. And so.
And just to add to that too, the easement, the documentation that they will be reviewing, we get the easement. They wanted the easement in place while the duration of the Justice Center project was going on, so they didn't have to change any of the boundaries of their project, a lot of things in there. Once their project closes out, the easement document is written in a way that then they would give us the right of way after that project was closed out. So we hope to get there eventually, just for the time being, as we start the Streetscape project, we're going to do it with an easement.
Good, thank you.
Important to have a good working relationship. So thank you very much for all the hard work you put in.
Yes, thank you. This looks lovely. I mean,
Yeah.
the thing I'm so much missing on the square right now is that trees, the planters, it's coming, it just in due time. And there's something really nice about these 2 projects happening at the same time. While we're in a messy state, let's stay in a messy state, and then it's going to be beautiful all the way around, which is exciting and wonderful for our community. And such major infrastructure improvements that are desperately needed. That's what really excites me
Yes.
as
And
well.
keep the timeline
Thank
short.
you for
Yeah,
that as
and-
well. So, yeah,
Shorter timeline, absolutely.
appreciate that.
Questions for Charlie? Thoughts?
Thank you for all you're doing.
Thanks for that.
Thanks, Charlie.
You are welcome.
All right.
Charlie originally wanted to read all the words on the slide.
Yep.
We knew that was probably a little TMI, but.
Good job, Ryan.
No, that Councilwoman Southall would have shut that.
Yeah, I think so
I'm gonna read every word out this. Yes.
All right, moving to a resolution approving the traffic engineering assistance program study at the intersection of Second Avenue West and Buxton Street.
I move to approve the traffic engineering assistance program study.
Second.
Okay. Anybody want to add something?
Yeah, Mayor, Charlie, if you could just advance the slides. This is AP and Charlie presented this as part of the study session last council meeting. So this is just formally approving that study.
Good information. That intersection will get some improvement.
And that intersection would have had to been improved regardless.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah.
Questions? Okay, Jackie, you want to call the roll, please?
Councilmember Merchant,
Aye.
Hewlin. Aye. Parker,
Aye.
Kling,
Aye.
Schroeder,
Aye.
Southall. Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. We need to move to first consideration of an ordinance amending the city code of the city of Indianola, Iowa, converting certain streets from one-way to two-way and making necessary safety changes to accommodate the change.
Yes, this is the culmination of about 2 years worth of work on this discussion. You'll recall with the streetscape planning process that started actually in March of 2019. That's when this first started getting discussed. As part of that process, the council then in August of 19 adopted the streetscape plan. And then last August of 2020 is when we then got the formal direction from council to start building the streetscape plans off of the thought of going to two-way traffic. Gave you the update at your last meeting, kind of what we were looking at. And now we have the ordinance in front of you that starts the process of implementing these changes that we've discussed. So just want to highlight some of the areas on that ordinance. First of all, with the one-way to two-way streets, you can see here in the blue all of the streets that will be changed. Highway 92 to Kentucky on both Howard and Buxton, and then on 4 sides of the square. Wanted to note, we did mention with this last block of Buxton last time that we may have to temporarily do that as one-way traffic. The way we built the ordinance is that it is converting that to a two-way street. If we do need to do that as one-way street, we will just then use our Public Work Director AP's authority then to close off the one lane of traffic in the interim. That way we don't have to go through another ordinance amendment process when that does come back. So we're kind of hopeful at this point we may not even need to do that, but we're still kind of looking at a few things just to make sure. We'll give you guys an update on that once this ordinance does pass. One thing that was a little bit of a quirky thing in our code, it calls out what we consider through streets, which are supposed to be kind of more thoroughfare streets within the code. So those streets are called out as Jefferson, which is Highway 65, 69, 2nd Avenue, which is Highway 92. Then it additionally calls out all of Salem, all of Ashland, all of Howard, and all of Buxton to be through streets, more thoroughfare streets. It actually says that those streets are supposed to move kind of free flowing, and all the streets that come to them are supposed to stop before proceeding through. So since we're making this change, we're looking at a lot of 4-way stops within those corridors. We thought it'd be appropriate to take those out and just focus on both Jefferson and Highway 92 being the more thoroughfare streets in our code.
I'm guessing that had to been when they made the conversion in 1972
Could have been.
to allow them to be the highway
Yep.
instead of when they were working on the highway. So
Yep.
that makes
So
sense.
our comp plan doesn't call it, it calls them as more kind of collector streets and arterial roads, stuff like that. So it's an appropriate time to change them.
I would assume the people that live on those streets probably would appreciate that.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
And Charlie, does parking, is that affected?
I'm gonna go over that here in a
okay,
second. Yep,
okay,
we'll get
that's
there.
it.
So the streets that are changed on 4-way stops, you can kind of see here, this is both, this is Iowa Street, so Buxton and Howard. This is Clinton, Buxton, Howard. I did want to point out that the 4 corners of the square are also going to be 4-way stops. So those are essentially going from 3-way stops to 4-way stops. And then the other 4 that we kind of discussed were all part of that. The only other intersection that's going to have some stop signs changed is Buxton in Kentucky. That's going to go from a 1-way stop to a 2-way stop. Since we're now having 2-way traffic on there, we have to do that. That's pretty minor, but just wanted to make sure that you were aware of that as well. And then to answer Councilmember Kling's concerns on the parking, parking is not going to, essentially the parking is not going to change. You're still going to have no parking on the same side that you do right now, with parking allowed on the same side that you do now. What's going to change is the direction that you're going to have your car parked on that when you go to the 2-way street. So pretty much from Detroit on Howard up to Kentucky, will be only parking on the one side, and I believe parking is on the west side on that with no parking on the east side. And then on Buxton, it actually goes one block north of Kentucky to Buxton Place, all the way down to Clinton there. And again, I believe that one is no parking on the west side with parking on the east side. So that's going to stay the same again. It's just going to be what direction your car has to be facing when you're parked. One thing we didn't have on screen here that I did want to note with the mailbox conversion and the kind of roadway configuration at Highway 92 there, that last block of Buxton, there's going to be no parking on either side of the street on that last block right there, just because to get that drive-through lane in there, we have to kind of cut out parking. We have to get that space in there for it. So with that, I think that kind of highlights the ordinance and the safety changes that were a part of it. And if there's any particular questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you for going through that. Questions for Charlie?
Looks good.
It does.
Good job.
I have a question for you, just on, I know other squares that have, their two-way, they actually have street lights. I'm thinking Pella, Winterset, at their squares. Is that a down the road, or has our study already said we just don't have it? Would that be evaluated at some other point?
So you're talking on the four sides of the square? Yeah, we're
Yes.
putting those back in. So actually with the streetscape project, maintaining the existing poles that are there, I believe we're reconfiguring them a little bit, moving them around, but they're going to be the same poles. But yeah, all those intersections will be lit, especially on the courthouse side. Once that project's closed out and we're able to get in there and do our work on that side, presuming we get the easement, yeah, we'll have streetlights on that side as well.
Okay, sorry, I was meaning stoplights.
Stoplights,
Sorry.
nope,
Yeah.
yeah, no, yeah, I think that was all,
Okay.
yeah.
But
sorry.
streetlights are important. too.
Yes,
I
yes.
do like
No,
our
no,
square.
yeah.
You had me confused.
Shining.
Yeah, totally.
So are you asking, have we looked at putting those in?
Yes, when
Yeah.
we get to there, is there a magic number you have to hit? in
Yeah, I
order
don't
to
know what
get
that is, and I
stoplights there?
don't know if AP can answer that at all. I mean, I know that was kind of looked at as part of these corridor studies when we were looking at that from Highway 92 up to the four-way stop intersection. So I don't know what that magic number is,
Okay.
but yeah, AP, I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, hi,
This-
AP.
Hey, this is AP. So there's several factors that can be considered for a signal warrant analysis. That's accident data, traffic volume, speed data, multiple factors. As a part of this study, we have not reviewed these four intersections for signal warrants. I doubt it'll meet because it's got low volumes. The only reason Buxton met was not because of the side street traffic, it's because of the main corridor traffic on Highway 92.
Okay.
I hope that answers your question.
It does, it does. So right now, we don't need them, but it could be evaluated if for some reason more traffic would come through there. That could become a possibility, possibly down the road.
And we hope it does increase the traffic.
Yes, we do want more people on our
We
square.
want more people on the square.
Thank you, AP.
On foot traffic.
Yes, foot traffic,
Yeah.
family friendly, under the streetlights.
Yes.
If you said stoplights, I'm sorry, I heard you. Okay.
We need a motion then, don't we?
I so move.
Second.
Jackie?
Councilmember Schroeder,
Aye.
Southall, Marchant,
Aye.
Hewlin,
Aye.
Parker,
Aye.
Kling.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Thanks, Charlie, for all your help and information. All right, moving on to a resolution awarding a contract for sewer main and lateral lining to Hydro Clean in the amount not to exceed $78,043. I think Rick is online with us.
Yes, thank you, Mayor and Council. This is Rick Graves, wastewater superintendent. This is the second lining proposal for fiscal year 21. And part of the $250,000 is budgeted for the maintenance on the collection system. And I, like you said, I recommend, or I received 4 bids and recommend HydroClean from Des Moines to perform the work. Was there any questions or anything?
Sure, Ryan?
Not a question, just Rick and his crew were highlighted in. Thanks.
That's the next slide, yeah.
Thanks. We're featured in an industry magazine on their efforts for the collection system. You know, you talked about the streetscape and not a lot of, underground folks don't see a lot of this stuff, but Rick and the crew are doing a great job, so much so that they were spotlighted,
It
so.
was a great article too, by the way.
It was.
And
Kudos to
they
that
weren't
team.
giving out free whistles or anything for that article.
Maybe next time, Bob.
Yeah.
Great article. Thank you for calling that out. All right, I did hear Greta say
I'll
she's
second
moving it.
Yep,
Yeah.
I'll second.
John seconds it. All right, Jackie, please.
Councilmember Marchant,
Aye.
Hewlin,
Aye.
Parker,
Aye.
Kling,
Aye.
Schroeder,
Aye.
Southall.
Aye.
Motion carries. They just were excited to award sewer main cleaning. We love that. All right, next one is resolution approving fiscal sponsorship of certain grant opportunities. Want to touch base on it?
Sure, yeah, we were contacted by the Warren County Philanthropic Partnership, asking that we have this resolution approving fiscal sponsorship. Indianola Hometown Pride and our police department have applied for grants, and the partnership requires applicants or their fiscal sponsor to be a 501c3. Both organizations are part of the city, and so the partnership asked us to pass this. Andy's on Zoom and is kind of our point person on this, so if you have questions.
Kudos to both those teams, the Indianola Hometown Pride and our police department, for applying for those grants. Warren County Partnership's an excellent place for that.
I move.
I was gonna say, I'll take a motion. You're
Yep,
good.
I move that we support the fiscal sponsorship of certain grant opportunities.
Second.
Okay, Jackie?
Councilmember Kling,
Aye.
Schroeder,
Aye.
Southall,
Aye.
Marchant,
Aye.
Hewlin.
Aye.
Parker.
Aye.
Motion carries. Good luck to those groups. All right, resolution authorizing a submittal of a federal surface transportation block grant, STBG, application to the Central Iowa Regional Transportation Planning Alliance, CIRTPA, for the Hillcrest Avenue reconstruction project.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, AP or Ryan, anybody want to talk about that? Just so we know. Under back.
AP, you want to start?
Yep. So this is AP Public Works Director for City of Indianola. We are basically earmarking the funds for the pavement improvements. On an annual basis, we get X amount of dollars. I think it's roughly around $250,000 to $300,000. We accumulate those funds, and then we apply for basically apply for a pavement improvement project. Previously we had applied for two different projects. One is on Hillcrest and K Street. What we are going to do is, moving forward, we are going to allocate the funds for this STBG grant towards the Hillcrest Avenue and use the local funds to fund for K Street. So basically we are earmarking the funds for the federal grant that's available for the City of Indianola pavement improvements.
And just to add on, so that's for simplicity's sake, just working with IDOT and doing the necessary reporting on this. The funding that comes into CERTA from the feds for our city can only be used on certain type of roadways. So Hillcrest and South K Street originally, when we were working on that, those two are eligible, but for simplicity's sake, keeping on Hillcrest, that way reporting is much simpler, coordination, logistics, and all that stuff. So, but it does not change anything we're doing with our CIP. So we're still proceeding down the path of Hillcrest and South K Street.
So both get done. It's just a matter of how they're getting paid for.
It's just how we're allocating the funding.
That's right. Questions for either AP or Ryan? Okay, Jackie, you want to call, please?
Councilmember Schroeder,
Aye.
Southall,
Aye.
Marchant,
Aye.
Hewlin.
Aye.
Parker.
Aye.
Kling.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. On to resolution approving a 3-year mowing contract with Excel Lawns and Landscaping for city properties in the amount not to exceed $75,429. And here's Doug to tell us more.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Doug Byland, Parks and Recreation Director. For you, we have our resolution and a lot of supporting information for our contract mowing for 22 properties around the city. The library, city hall, aquatic center, parks, trails, and wastewater pollution control properties. Totaling 71 acres. And you'll see the cost there for Excel of Lawns and Landscape of Des Moines for, if we do 29 estimated mowings, which is what we normally hope to do, and it might be a little bit more this year, since we're looking at next week already. For a total of 75,429 for this year, which is still about 14,000 less than last year. So great news. It's only 2 fewer acres, so cost per acre went down.
Good.
We do contract out these parks and areas for a lot of reasons. Maintenance equipment is tough to keep track of. This they'll have a 3 or 4 person crew that do all this mowing. So that'll be all of our staff. But we still do a lot of mowing in-house, Buxton Park and softball fields.
Seems like we have a number of, few more bid this year than we have had in the past. That's good too.
Well, we had a lot of bids last year too, but a lot of them were, they would not bid, or sorry, 3 years ago.
Oh.
Would only do parts of the bid. They wouldn't
Right.
bid on the whole
Gotcha.
lot.
Okay, that's good.
This time, all 5 of them did bid on it.
Good.
So we always do a 3-year bid.
Yep.
I hate to see the local
Yeah.
business lose it.
It's like a 20% difference. So
I
it's
know.
pretty
Yeah.
hard.
Wow.
I know.
$100.
Yeah.
Questions, comments for Doug? Okay,
I move to approve the contract with Excel and Landscape.
Second.
perfect. Thank you. Jackie?
Councilmember Marchant,
Aye.
Hewlin. Aye. Parker,
Aye.
Kling,
Aye.
Schroeder.
Aye.
Southall.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. And then a resolution approving a supplemental professional service agreement with Snyder and Associates for Phase 3 of the Jerry Kelly Trail. Doug?
Yeah, so this is a budgeted item for this fiscal year to do the engineering and design phase of that section of Jerry Kelly Trail along Iowa Avenue from Stephen Court to North Kenwood Boulevard. We budgeted for that amount, 58,000 for this year, with the estimated construction in 2023 for a total of $355,000. There'll be a lot of the, can it go here, can it go there, we move it this way on, should we go around this property or through this property?
So take it off the street.
That's the idea, is to get it off of the street, around the north side of the road of Ohio Avenue. And then some of it could be farther away from the street, but most of it would be close to the street.
Questions for Doug? I'll take a motion. So moved.
Second.
Okay. Jackie, please.
Councilmember Parker,
Aye.
Kling,
Aye.
Schroeder.
Aye.
Southall.
Aye.
Marchant,
Aye.
Hewlin.
Motion carries. Thank you. Thanks, Doug, for coming and explaining. On to other business, city manager's report. Ryan?
Gonna ask Charlie to come up and talk about a request we
Yeah, we did, Mayor Council received a letter for a zoning amendment request. Particular person on this one has a industrial building located at 812 North 7th Street, which is currently in the M2 General Industrial Zoning District. This person has a tenant who is interested in opening a childcare facility in the building. Currently, we only allow for childcare facilities in a few zoning districts, not all, but the industrial zoning districts do not include that option. So looking out at a schedule at this point, as soon as we could get that in front of the Planning and Zoning Commission would be May 11th. We do have an upcoming meeting next week, but just with the time to kind of do the research, prepare the packets and everything, get a little difficult to meet that meeting. So May 11th. Also wanted to remind council, we're in the process of updating our zoning codes and site planning codes. That's phase 1 of our development code updates. At this point, we're looking at bringing those changes to the Planning and Zoning Commission on May 11th. So what our recommendation was as part of this process was to just work the request into the zoning code amendments. We can work with the steering committee on that as well as the Planning and Zoning Commission, make sure they're aware of the request when we're reviewing those and make a recommendation as part of that package. So council's okay with that. That's how we'll proceed. But to me, it just didn't make sense to kind of have 2 processes running side by side.
I'm totally in favor of that. I think it's a great idea. My only question is an amendment a better way than just, would it be better to just give this one property a variance or What's a better?
Can't do the variance,
Can't
because
do
that's a variance on the use and those
Okay.
aren't allowed, but, yeah, the
I just
best
don't-
way to do it would probably be the amendment. It's either amendment or rezoning, and rezoning in that area wouldn't be a great thing either, so.
So does that then put us in a more difficult situation down the road if somebody wanted to move daycare into something where maybe it's not the best way for it? That's my only thing is
So,
does that open us up down the road?
Yep, I mean, I kind of give you some of my preliminary thinking on this. Most of the areas that we allow them in right now are allowed by a special exception, which means you actually have to, they're allowed, but you have to go through a process through the Board of Adjustment to get approval.
Okay.
Kind of, they look at the areas and the nuances of it and all of that stuff before making a recommendation. So it's not allowed by right, you still have to go through a process. I kind of see that playing
Okay.
out similarly here too.
Okay.
If you're familiar with the North Seventh area, not really a big industrial area. One of the things you want to look at is something like this is you're going to have a lot of traffic in the morning of people dropping off kids, trying to kind of colliding, I shouldn't say colliding, that's a bad word to use, but converging with semi-traffic from industrial users. So you just need to pay attention to a few things like this, but this is more of a, for lack of a better term, a light industrial area. So it could work out here better than in some other areas.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
Other comments, thoughts for Charlie as he moves forward with planning and zoning with this?
That's a great idea.
Yep, send it to them. I think it's great.
Right.
Makes sense.
Thank you.
Thank you, Charlie. Anything else, Ryan, you want to share?
Just, there was, I don't know where we stand in the number of allowable vaccines, but we are partnering with Simpson College. Simpson College Hy-Vee and the city are partnering, Doug and our police department, Lieutenant Hawkins have been running point on that. So it's gonna be at Memorial Park on Wednesday from 9 to 5. So
Thank you for mentioning that. That's huge. Go to the site, sign up. You don't have your shot.
yeah, it's by appointment
It's
only.
full?
It is full.
It is?
Okay.
Wow.
So then,
Okay.
then the request is just please make sure you show up at your designated time. So,
Thanks to our team for
Yeah.
coordinating that. That's easier said than done. So we appreciate your help and the partnership with Simpson and Hy-Vee. Thank you, Ryan, for mentioning that.
and just, you have received and filed, and then after executive session, for those watching at home, there's no action taken or necessary at the conclusion of executive session. So once executive session is done, we won't be coming back on camera.
Because we'll just.
Yep.
Yep.
Right into adjournment.
Motion to receive and file March 19, 26, 2021 weekly updates for City Manager Ryan Wallace.
Second.
You read my mind.
I did.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, now I need a motion to go into closed session.
I move we go into closed session according with Iowa Code, section 21.51C, to discuss strategy with legal counsel in matters that are presently in litigation or litigation is imminent, where its disclosure would be likely to prejudice or disadvantage the government.
Second.
Thank you for reading it. So we
Yep.
now know why we're in.
Yep.
Jackie, please.
Councilmember Kling,
Aye.
Schroeder.
Aye.
Southall. Aye. Martin,
Aye.
Hewlin.
Aye.
Parker.
Aye.
Motion carries. We're going into closed session. Thank you so much.